Right. Now, what happens if the element is not having any ID, or it's not having any X coordinate, or the Y, sorry, not having any name or any other stable property to identify it? Then we go with XPaths or CSS locators. Fine. Now, how do you get the XPaths? Right. Every element has an XPath, and basically XPath, I mean to say, is like, it's like the address of an element. Fine, the address of the element will never change, okay, no matter if the content of the element changes. For example, tomorrow if the text of this link changes, then the XPath will not change, provided the page layout remains the same. So XPath is something which gives you the address of the element on a page, right? And how do you calculate XPaths? XPaths can be calculated very easily with the help of Firebug itself. Or first of all, let me give you a practical example on calculating the XPaths manually. Okay. Now, if you want to find out the XPath of this field username, right? If you investigate this field in the page source, right? This is the page source, right? If I investigate this field in the page source, then everything is starting with the HTML tag, right? So this is the HTML tag. Fine. Inside this HTML tag, there are two tags, head and body. I am interested in the body tag because eventually the field which is emailed, this field, is lying in the body tag, right? So I'll go inside the body tag. Then inside the body tag you have got one division, div tag, right? So I'll go inside the division tag. Okay. Inside the division tag there are multiple tags. I am interested in the second division tag because my element is in the second division tag. Okay. So I write over here, inside this division, go in the second division like this, right? And in the second division, right, you have, this is the second division, right? Okay. Inside this you have got three divisions. Out of these three divisions I am interested in the first one, right? So I'll write div 1, and then inside the first division, which is this one, you have a form tag. You need to go inside that form, right? So you'll write form. Inside this form my element is present. Inside this form you have two division tags. In the first division tag my element is present, that is the input tag. So you will write /div1/input. So this would be the XPath of your element, starting from the base of the document. Now this is a little bit tricky to calculate. You must have seen that it's a little tricky. So what we do is that we don't calculate it ourselves. In Firebug, which you have installed, we actually get something known as FirePath. You have to install this add-on FirePath on Firebug separately. I have already installed it. To install FirePath, basically you again have to go to google.com and I'm sorry, and just type download FirePath. Go to this link, the first link, and install it as an add-on in Mozilla. Make sure you open the link in Mozilla and Firebug is already installed on your machine. You click on add to Firefox and this add-on will be installed. You will get the option called FirePath over here. Okay. Now if you move your mouse over elements, we will start getting XPaths. See, this is the XPath which I bought from FirePath. It is exactly, it is a little different. Okay, this one is not necessary, and okay, there is one more tip. I made a little mistake in my XPath, but this is actually the XPath which is there from FirePath, and this one will work. Okay, so you don't really need to calculate manually. You can get the XPath of any element, like for example XPath of this image over here, right? This is the XPath of image. It ends with the img tag. That means it's the correct XPath, right? Now this kind of XPath is known as complete XPath or absolute XPath. It is not so good practice to use this kind of XPath to identify elements. This is because if something changes in the page tomorrow, for example, the input field remains same, the username field remains same, and out here some other element is or some other division is added. So what will happen is that in the XPath, right, some other division can be added in between. So the XPath will become irrelevant. Fine. So we refrain ourselves from using absolute XPath until or unless it is very necessary. Right? Under what situations will it be necessary? We'll talk about those. Right? So better not to use this kind of XPath. Right? So what we do is we use partial XPath. In FirePath, right? If you check this option, generate absolute XPath, this will give you the full XPath starting from the base of the document, that is starting from the HTML tag. Okay, in case I uncheck this option, right, I will start getting something known as partial XPaths. For example, now if I move my mouse over the username field, I get this kind of XPath. This is a partial XPath, right? Double slash, it means that this is not a full XPath starting from the base of the document. It is a partial XPath, right? Double slash star. Star means any element on the page. Out here we generally write a tag name. Out here I can also write / input, that there is an input field on a page with ID equals to email. And this means that there is any element on the page with ID equals to email. The second XPath is more stable. It is more relevant. And this is for any element. This is only for the tag name input. Fine. Similarly, like for any element on a page, you can have an XPath. For example, if I look at this button, add to Firefox button out here, right, this is the XPath. This says that there is an element on the page whose ID is add-on. Right. Now this link has got no ID. So what Firebug does it goes above this link. Right. It finds out. Hold on. Right. It finds out that the division over here has got ID add-on. So it starts from here, that is there is a division with ID add-on. Inside it again there is one more division. Inside it again there is a division, and then there is one more division. Under it there is a para tag and then the anchor tag. So since this anchor tag was not having any ID, it started moving up and it went to the first element which was having an ID. Right, and it calculated the XPath from that location rather than bringing the XPath from the very base, that is HTML tag of the document. Okay, so we can also use XPath to identify our elements. For example, in Gmail now, right, I'll comment of both the lines, and I can use XPath to write in the username and password fields. So I can write driver dot find element by the XPath dot send keys, the username which you want to type. An XPath you can get it from Firebug by the FirePath add-on. Now remember one thing, in FirePath in front of these XPaths there is a small dot. Do not include this dot in the XPath. Do not include it. Okay, so you get this XPath over here called as input. ID is email.sendkeys username. Similarly, you can find your password as well, that is driver.findElement by the XPath of the password dot send keys, the desired password which you want to type in, and you can give in the password field XPath. This is the XPath. You do not include the dot, right? It is a good practice to not include star. If you are including star, it will not give an error. Like for example, I can write an input tag with the ID password, but I will not write. I will write it remains as a star, and if I execute this code, if I run the code, this will certainly go and type username and password in the fields. Right? So you see that it goes to Gmail on Firefox, types in a username and a password, and that's it. Fine, right? Now the question arises, what about Chrome and IE? If I want to run the same script on Chrome and IE, how do I calculate XPaths over there? Firstly, secondly, will the same XPaths which are there on Firefox, will they work on Chrome? The answer is that generally the websites which are made, they open in the same way on all the browsers. Okay, there are hardly any websites which will have a different page source on different browsers. There are hardly any websites. Okay, when the developer makes a website, right, it opens the same way in all the browsers, and the same page source is there in all the browsers. So the kind of XPath which you make in Firefox, right, you can use the same XPath in Chrome and IE as well. For example, over here, instead of writing WebDriver driver equals to new Firefox driver, I'll write equals to new Chrome driver. Okay, and from yesterday's example, I will set the property of the Chrome driver here, the property of exe file, fine, and I'll run this. So this will also work in Chrome because Gmail opens up the same way as it opens in Firefox, it opens in Chrome. You see that it works. And similarly in IE also, I know this will work provided you have leveled the protected mode in IE like I explained you yesterday, and you have included iDriver.exe in your path.
Hey Ashish.
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, Ashish, I have 2 questions. Sorry to interrupt you in between.
Yeah, tell me.
Actually, that's the first thing that you showed to me is in the Firefox we have to write down WebDriver, then driver, then the element, and to run that program. Now for the Chrome, for the IE Explorer, we have to write some system.out path that you have explained yesterday.
Set property, we have to set a property.
Yes, because it should not be designed, it has been designed for the Firefox, so we have to set a path for, set the property for those location of the chrome.exe folder or the IE.exe folder, right?
Yeah, you have to set the paths, but these exe files are downloaded from the Selenium site.
Right, means I have to say that Selenium has been designed for Chrome, so we are not intending to set the set property for the Firefox, but for the Chrome we have to download for particular.
For Chrome and IE you have to download the exe.
And the second question is for the XPath that you've been showed for us. Actually, you showed the method of how to take the partial XPath of that and putting the input method. If there is a star, then you have to put the method as input. So these text input and something, if I write something, so these are the attributes, or is that the mandatory fields that has been there?
These are the tags. Input out here you write the tag name.
Okay.
Okay.
So
And in the
depending
bracket
upon
you give the attributes of the tag.
okay, so I have to put the attribute instead of the tag, right?
Look, it's something like this. You give the tag over here, okay, and in the bracket you give the attribute ID and all.
Okay. If I not included the tag name, so will it work?
Yes, it will work provided you write star. Now the problem by writing star is that suppose there is a link with the same ID and an input tag with the same ID. So then it will create an issue.
Okay, okay, got it.
Okay, so that's why I tell you always don't make it generalized, make it specific that there is an input tag on the page whose ID is password.
Okay, just a short question, means just to finish up my question. I have to clear that one, that XPath relation of the partial XPath. So how could you do that? Just a simple thing. Partial XPath, taking the partial XPath from the Firebug.
Okay, fine. So look, if you want to take the partial XPaths, then make sure that this option is
yeah, I got it. Thanks, SS.
Okay, fine.
Ashish, I have a question.
Yeah.
Like, if you have a partial, you're using a partial method, what is the advantage when compared to
that? Your voice was breaking for some time. Can you please repeat?
Yeah, yes, sir. Is it now clear?
Yes, clear.
Yeah, so now like you have shown like a partial XPath, right? So what is the advantage of using it? Because here also we are using ID attribute, right?
I get your point.
Yeah.
Your point is that I am writing over here by the input which has got an ID as password.
Yeah.
Right. And on the top I was writing by ID password. So what's the use?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Look, this is a very simple site. Suppose I want to click on this button. Add to Firefox. Now this button has got no ID. But if I look at the XPath, I can get this particular XPath and click on it.
Oh, so if any tag doesn't have ID, like we can use it.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Okay, so you can move a little up, a few divisions up, find an element which has got an ID, and start moving down from there, so you get it like this.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Right? So, you know, it looks a little weird, XPath. For every beginner, it looks something weird. But as you proceed, right, you will get used to it. Okay. In the beginning, this thing looks weird to everybody. When I learned it for the first time, we never had FirePath when I learned Selenium in way back around 5-6 years back. Maybe FirePath was there. I'm not talking about Firebug, FirePath. Maybe it was there, but I never knew about it. So I used to calculate the XPath by going into the page source. So actually that helped me a lot, and by doing everything manually, it actually made me a little expert on calculating the XPaths. Right, but later on I got these tools. I started using these tools. So that's it.
Hello.
Right. So in the beginning, yeah.
Hello, this is.
Yeah, tell me. Yeah, I can hear you. Who was asking a question? I think somebody was asking a question. Okay, anyways. So
Sorry to interrupt. I have a question. Yeah. So, so what if my web page has an element? Let's say this button, right? So, what if the XPath itself, changes over time? So, probably dynamic XPath. So, how do I?
So that's again a problem. For example, I just told you Facebook.com.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry. Right. For example, Facebook.com. Over here, if you look at the ID XPath of this button, this is the XPath. The ID is this. Now this ID varies every time when you reach this page. So out here, we modify the XPaths. We make our own XPath. Number one. Number two, we can select some other parameter on which the XPath can be made. Number three, we can use some JavaScript functions, right, to actually get a workaround on this. So I'll be talking about everything, right, because I just want to go step by step. Okay, So I'll be talking about all these things, right? So let's go step by step, and I will gradually as we proceed with the course, your doubts and all will be solved. Okay. Now sometimes what happens is a part of the XPaths is constant and the remaining part is varying. And for example, out here, if you look at the XPath, this part remains constant and the part after this varies. So we can tell Selenium that you need to click on an element which is starting from this letter. The ID is starting from this letter. So that is done using JavaScript functions and all. So I talk about the syntax and all. What is the syntax to do it? Fine. I think you got my point, right?
Sure. Yeah, thanks.
Now, as I was talking, right? This is the XPath and
hi Ashish.
Yeah, tell me.
Sorry, I don't know whether you have already discussed about this or not, because last 10 minutes my internet got disconnected.
Okay.
How should we do this if it for a different browser like IE or Chrome or something?
That's what I'm going to talk about it right now.
Okay, I didn't know whether you had discussed it.
Yeah, I talked a little bit about Chrome. Okay.
Okay.
So I'll start it. I'll start the Chrome again. So
okay.
What happens is that, look, a website, okay, the page source in a website, it remains same on all the browsers. If the page source is remaining the same, the IDs and all, and the location of the tags and all will remain same. For 99.99% of the websites, the page source will remain same on all the browsers. Right. So if I'm finding
sorry, you mean it's going to HTML always?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
In Chrome as well, if I open up Chrome, and in Chrome if I go to gmail.com, so the look and feel of the page is same, the page source is same, the IDs of the elements, they are same. Okay, only thing is the browser is varying, the page source will remain the same, and Selenium will work on page source. Okay, so that's why if I calculate my XPath on Firefox, the same XPath will be valid for all the other browsers as well. The same IDs and the same names will be present over there. So that's why I set the system property for Chrome and I open Chrome. I just do these two settings and I run the same code. This code works on Chrome as well.
Okay,
right.
But is there the FirePath option available for the IE browser as well? Or?
I'm coming over to that point.
Okay.
Right? Now, sometimes what happens is that your website never works on Firefox. Okay? You come across a project in which the client has the requirement that my website will not work on Firefox. It never opens in Firefox. So how do you calculate the XPaths in Chrome? Right? In Chrome, right, the best way is that you right click on any element. Okay, right click on element, you will have the option as inspect element. So you go to that option and you will get the element highlighted. This is the element. Okay, it's like a Firebug present in Chrome itself, but it's inbuilt. You don't have to install it or something like you do it in Mozilla, right? But to calculate the XPath of this element, you can right click on this element and you select the option copy XPath. This will be there in Chrome. So you copy the XPath and bring it here. Only one change you need to do for Selenium is that in XPath, Chrome gives you double quotes. You have to change these double quotes to single quotes. That's it. Okay. Similarly, like if I am on say bbc.com, okay, and on bbc.com I need the XPath of this particular link. So right click on this link, inspect element. You will get the element highlighted. Right click on the element, copy XPath, bring the XPath out here. Okay, convert double quotes to single quotes. So this is the XPath in Chrome. You can calculate it like that. Now what about in IE? In IE, if you open up IE, right, or if you open up Chrome as well, in both the browsers, if you press F12, right, this kind of developer window will open up in IE as well. I have IE6, in IE6 it doesn't open up. right? In IE, if you hit F12, this kind of window will open up for sure. It's known as the developer tool, okay, IE developer tool. But XPath option to calculate the XPath option is not there in IE over there. I have never seen it. Maybe I am wrong, but I never see it. Generally, what happens is I get the XPath from Chrome or Firefox. The same thing works on IE as well. Okay, or most of the times, practically as we proceed with the course, you will see that most of the times I will not be getting XPaths from my FirePath over here. I tend to get the XPaths from the page source, right? I'll talk about it that why I'll be doing that. But yes, over a period of time you'll realize that getting your own XPaths is much easier thing than getting the XPaths from Firebug or FirePath. Okay, so this is how you can work with the three browsers. Fine. In Chrome and Firefox, you have the facility easily available. In IE, you can inspect the page, but to get the XPath, it's not possible. Fine. There is a way to calculate in IE as well, but it's a very tedious thing, right? Fine. Okay. Any questions from anybody?
Yeah, actually, one generic question, like, do we have web drivers of different version of browser? If you say like IE, we have IE and IE. So does the same web driver for IE support both versions?
Yes, Internet Explorer driver will support both the versions.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes in IE it gives issues. Selenium, it gives issues in IE sometimes, but they have made it very stable. Like the way it was there 8 or 9 months back, it is 100 times more stable right now.
Okay. Thanks.
Fine. Okay. Right. Now, this is about simple thing, that is opening the browser using XPath ID's names to identify the objects, fine, and using different browsers to identify XPath, to calculate the XPath. Different types of XPath, that is full XPath, this is the full XPath, and partial XPath. Fine. Now I'll make a new okay, hold on just a minute. Suppose I execute this code on Firefox. Okay, if I am executing this code on Firefox Driver and if I run this, you will observe that the Firefox window which opens up is a little different, rather it is very different than the normal Firefox which is installed on your system. For example, the normal Firefox has got a Firebug option in it. I have installed Firebug in Firefox, right? But the window which Selenium is opening, that's got no Firebug in it, firstly. Secondly, if you go to the bookmarks, there are no bookmarks in this window as well. If I look at my regular window of Firefox, you will get the bookmarks as well. So that means there is something fishy with Selenium is doing. It is not opening the normal browser, it is removing everything from the normal browser and it is opening a plain blank Firefox which is similar to a Firefox which is freshly installed on the machine. Right? But the same thing is not in case of IE and Chrome. This behavior is only found in case of Firefox. Okay. Now many times you will face an issue, that is, suppose I am executing the script on this particular browser and this browser is opened by Firefox and the script fails and I need to investigate the element in the same page, right, on the same browser which Selenium had opened, but I don't have a Firebug out here to investigate. You're getting my point, right? I need to investigate, right? I need to investigate the same page which Firebug has, Firefox has opened, but I'm not able to investigate that, right? Because Firebug is not there. So how do I work with this? How do I get Firebug in this particular thing? How do I get my regular bookmarks in this thing? Fine. The answer to this question lies in the concept of Firefox Profiling. Firefox Profiling is a very interesting concept which is actually given by the people, made by the people who made Firefox. Okay, before I go to the Firefox Profiling concept, I'll give you a small exercise to do. After the class, you can go back to your home, you can do that exercise, and then I'll go to Firefox Profiling concept. Okay, you see the Gmail page, this space is increasing. Fine. You need to print the first 5 changed values of this number. It should not repeat. Okay, it should print the value has now changed and the new value is this. Then again, the value has now changed and the new value is this. So you need to print the first 5 changed values of this number. Just try it out at your place. I'll discuss that in the next class. Fine. A very simple exercise, not related to testing or something, but just to improve your skills on Selenium. Right. Now let's go to the concept of Firefox profiling as I was talking. Right. Now first you need to understand why this kind of behavior comes up. Okay. In Firefox, like the people who made Firefox, they made it in such a way that on one machine you can run multiple instances of Firefox. For example, you and your wife both of you are sharing the same machine, the same laptop, right? And both of you want that, like your wife wants that when she opens up Firefox, she should be seeing her own settings out here, her own set of bookmarks, right? And you want that when you open it, you open up this website, then you should be seeing your settings and your bookmarks and all everything. Okay, so this is realized with the help of Firefox profiling concept. To understand Firefox profiling in depth, close the Firefox window from File Exit menu. Okay, do not close it from the top right cross menu. Close it from File Exit menu. Okay, close the Firefox windows from File Exit menu, and then go to your Run menu and type firefox.exe -profile manager. Just type this command. Okay, and click on OK, and you will see a window like this coming up. Right, so just hold on. In your machine you will only see this part, default. This is the normal Firefox which is opened in your machine, which gets opened in your machine when you open Firefox. If I click on Start Firefox, this normal profile will open. This will have all these bookmarks and all which you have for yourself. Right. Now suppose if I close this from File Exit again and I run the command again, firefox.exe profile manager, you can create a different profile out here, a different instance of Firefox. I create a profile called as weekend_batch, right? So this is a different profile of Firefox on my machine. If I click on Start Profile after selecting this, you will see that a fresh Firefox window has opened up. Fine, and this window is a fresh window. It's like a new Firefox installed on your machine. Similarly, what Selenium does is that when it opens up Firefox internally through coding, internal coding of Firefox Driver class creates a new Firefox profile. It opens it, and in the end it destroys that profile when the code stops. Okay, so now what I can do is that I can open up this weekend batch profile, right? Maybe I'll go to Google and say in this particular profile I bookmark the Google page, then I go over here and type download Firebug, and in this particular profile I will install the Firebug, and I would instruct Selenium to not open its own profile, open up this particular profile which I have created. Okay, to do so I'll click on Add to Firefox and I will install Firebug in this particular profile. I hope this is getting into your heads, right? If you have any questions, please feel free to ask, right? And restart the Firefox. Right? So this profile, weekend batch profile, will get restarted, and you will see Firebug inside it. Right? Now I will tell Selenium that fine, when you open up a Firefox profile, open up this particular weekend batch profile. Don't just create your own profile and open it up. Right? So how do I do that? Okay. To do that, you need to understand the concept of constructors in Java language. Fine. So I'll move back to Java language and I will explain you the concept of constructors, and then after that I will tell you how to open up this particular profile from your coding in Java. Right. So suppose I make a new class called car. Okay. In this car I have a variable, say string type of the car. Okay, so this is a non-static variable inside this car class, and suppose this has got one more variable, say the number of the car, int number. Fine, right? And string color of the car. So these are the three properties which define a car. Okay, and I test car having the main function inside it. Right? In the main function I write car C1 equals to new car. I create the object of the car class, right? And I write car C2 car class objects which I have found. Now I initialize C1. I write over here C1 dot type is car A, C1 dot number is 100, C1 dot color is white. Fine. Similarly, I'll initialize C2. I'll write C2 dot. This is important. This will be used in the frameworks when I teach you the keyword driven framework in the end, in the driven, this constructor and all will be used. So please listen to this carefully. It will also use in profiling out here. So the car dot type is B, and C2 dot number is 200, and C2 dot color is black. And similarly, I can initialize C3 as well. C3 dot color is silver. Okay. Now there is an overhead involved over here. The overhead is that when I am creating the object, unnecessarily I will have to write the lines to initiate the properties of the object. Now suppose in the car class you had, instead of 3 properties, you have got 100 properties, right? Then would you be initializing all the 100 properties of all the objects like this? Right. Okay, so it's kind of overhead. You'll have to unnecessarily write lines of coding again and again, initializing every property of the class. So to reduce this work or to reduce this overhead, what we do is that we use something known as constructor in the car class. A constructor would be written like this: public car. The name, it's not a function. The name of the constructor is same as name of the car class, the name of the class. And inside this constructor, I will write system.out.println inside constructor of car class. Okay. So in my test car, when I run my test car, in console you will see that inside constructor of car class is printed 3 times. Okay, this is because the constructor is called by default whenever you are making the object of the class. In Java, whenever you make the object of the class, the constructor is called. If I write over here new car again, I create two more objects without any references. Okay, if I run this will print inside constructor of car 5 times. One for this, one for this, one for this, and 2 for this. 2 times for this, right? So one thing is clear, constructor is called when the object is created. Fine. So we can have a different form of constructor over here. A form of constructor like this, public car, which accepts the type of the car, the number of the car, and the color of the car. And inside it I will type, hold on, I'll just write type equals to T, number equals to N, and color equals to C. Right? So when I create the object of the car class now, I'll create it like this. Car C4 equals to new car, and instead of calling the blank constructor, this is the blank constructor, I'll call this constructor. Fine. I will pass over the name of the car, the number of the car, and the color of the car. So this way I create the object, along with it I will initialize the object. When the constructor is called, this constructor would be called, right? The properties of the car class would be passed over into it, and the variables, the initialization of the object will take place instantly. I don't have to write these extra lines over here. So similarly I can create as many objects of the car class as I want, and on the fly I can initiate them as well. Fine. So this kind of concept, like this is a constructor and this is again a constructor. This constructor never accepts anything, right? This is known as a default constructor. Okay, and this whole thing, that is, name is same but number of parameters they differ. This whole thing is known as overloading in object-oriented programming. I can have another constructor, I can have another overloaded constructor like this, public car, which only accepts the type of the car, and inside it I can write type equals to T. So this kind of constructor will initialize the car object, but it will initialize it, it will not initialize it fully. So I can just write over here car C6 equals to new car of the type, say, F. So this car object is not fully initialized. It's only got the type associated with it. If I write over here system.out.println C6.type, C6.number, and C6.color. If I run this, this will print F, 0 and null. By default integer is equal to 0, and by default the string color is null, but the type is initialized, it is equal to F. Right? So this is what constructor is. It helps you to initialize the object on the fly, and this is the concept of overloading, that is, you have the same name but different types of input parameters. Similarly, you can also imply overloading in functions. For example, I write over here public void sum function, and I pass in 2 numbers in it, and suppose this function returns an integer. So you will write over here return a plus b. So this is a function sum in which you will pass on 2 numbers, and this will return you sum of 2 numbers. Similarly, I can make one more function, public int sum, which accepts 3 numbers, int a, int b, int C, right? And it returns you A plus B plus C. So this function calculates the sum of two numbers which are passed over into it and returns you the sum, and this function calculates the sum of three numbers and it returns you the sum. Okay, so basically what I want to tell you, two things. One is constructor, it will help you to initialize the object. Secondly, a constructor or a function can be overloaded. You can have the same name and different input parameters. Right? Now let's go back to the Selenium. Let's go back to Selenium and see the concept of Firefox profiling, how we can use that concept. Okay? Yeah, tell me.
Yeah. So the constructor concept is like how we write functions in Qtp for VB scripting, right?
No, functions are different. Constructor is different. Constructor is used in case of object creation. Okay.
Okay, no, because normally in VB scripting also we write functions, we pass arguments as parameters.
Yeah, that's right. In car class, sum is a function.
Okay.
Right? You can pass on car parameters to some function. But constructor is different.
Okay.
Constructor has got no return type. A function can return you a value. Constructor cannot return you anything.
Okay. That is is that the only difference?
Yes, this is the only difference. Secondly, a constructor, the main use is to initialize the object. Okay. The name of the constructor has to be same as name of the class.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the thing. We don't have this kind of thing in VB. I think VB is not as like object-oriented programming. It's a scripting language.
But you have another constructor also with public int sum, but the name of that is not different with that of the class, right?
This is not a constructor. This is a function.
Okay.
This is a function. This function is having return type as integer int.
Okay.
Okay, this is a normal function.
Okay.
This is a constructor. This constructor has got no return type.
Okay, but in that case I don't see any difference apart from the return type. The constructor doesn't have a return type, right? But
the difference is that the constructor will get automatically called when you create the object of the class. The function will not be called.
Okay.
Are you getting my point? When I write new car, Java automatically understands that it has to call this constructor.
Okay.
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 But if I have to call this sum function, then after creating the object I can write c4.sum 10,20. Okay. The functions are called after creating the object of the class.
Okay.
And to create the object of the class, you need the constructor. Okay. Don't compare this thing with Qtp, you will get confused.
Yeah,
in Qtp we only have functions.
Yeah.
You keep on calling the functions and all. In Java, you first need to create the object of the class and then use that object to call the functions. For example, out here, I am first creating the object of Firefox Driver, and only after creating the object of Firefox Driver, I am calling the functions in that class.
Okay.
In Qtp, you directly call the functions.
Yeah.
Okay, so in Java, it is different. Right? You first have to create the object and then call it. Are you getting me, Sandeep?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So, right. Now, how do I instruct my Firefox driver over here to open up this weekend batch profile? Okay. To do so, we have an internal class in Selenium called profiles INI. I create the object of that class. This profiles INI class, it represents, when you create the object, it pulls all the profiles in system. It retrieves all the profiles in the system into this object, and from this object you fire the function get the profile named weekend batch. Right, so this, when you create the object of this class, you get all the profiles, and from all the profiles get the profile weekend batch, store it in the class called Firefox Profile. My profile. Okay, so when you write all profiles dot get the profile weekend batch, you get the object of an internal class again named as Firefox Profile. Look, everything is built in, you just need to remember this functionality. Okay, and in Firefox Driver, if you look at the documentation of Firefox Driver class, just a minute. If I write over here download Selenium, and if I look at the documentation, and if I look at Firefox Driver, hold on, let the documentation load. Okay, if I look at Firefox Driver, then Firefox Driver class, hold on, has got these many overloaded forms of constructors like we had for the car class, and one of them is a constructor which accepts the object of a class called Firefox Profile. We just created the object of Firefox Profile. I retrieved my own Firefox Profile from here. So all you need to do is that in the constructor you need to pass on this object. That's it. Now that's it. Now the Firefox which will open the weekend batch profile. If you run this, your Firefox window will open, and that will actually open on, you see that Firebug is present in it, right? The bookmark is also there, Google. Okay, so that's how you work with profiles, and this profiling concept is only there in Firefox, it's not there in Chrome or IE, right? So we'll end up for today. Fine. If you want to attend the training, you can contact me on Skype. My Skype ID is same as my website name, that is QTP Selenium. And you can, if you have any doubts regarding trainings, you can also ask me. You can go to contact trainer section and just drop me a message that you want to attend the training, or if you have any doubt, you can contact me. Look, if you are having a very hard time understanding this, right, I'm not saying you would be able to understand it fully, right, but if you are just confused, if you are like, if you think that you are almost out of the way and you're not understanding anything, then don't go for the training, honestly, go for the videos, right, because you can watch the videos again and again, right, and after watching the videos you can join the training by paying the remaining amount. That's a better option. Fine, but if you are able to understand, say 60%, 70%, 80%, it's more than enough, right? Nobody understands fully, right? So when you look at the recorded sessions of the class, you will be able to cope up with it, right? So all right then.
So the next class would be on the next weekend.
Next Saturday is the next class.
Oh.
Okay. Fine. Total around 5 weekends will be there. Okay, in between, right, in between we'll miss out a weekend on the New Year's. This weekend we'll be missing it out. Okay, 25th is fine because we can attend on 22nd, 23rd, but the New Year's weekend we will be missing. Or hold on, I'm not sure about 22nd, but one of the weekends, like out of these, I'm not sure about right now, 22nd or 23rd, or 29th or 30th. One of the weekends we'll be missing, right? So that's how we'll be going about it, right? Right? If the majority says that you have to miss both the weekends, then I'll miss both of them. Sometimes last year people told me that they want to miss both the weekends, so I split the classes to 2 weekends. Right. Any questions from anybody?
Yes, Ashish, I have few questions. Maybe once this session is done, I have to clarify.
Okay, fine. All right. Right then. Okay, guys.
Hi, Sandeep.